Good evening. Good evening, sir. Wait a minute, and I am a woman's sewing circle. I said, BMI, good evening. Good evening, sir. Thank you. Thank you. General Wins, General Officer, members, officers, staffs, cadets, and rats. Good evening. You know, I'm honored to be here. And you know, I speak at a lot of institutions. I'm speaking at Norwich University last week, and maybe I will visit later on in the spring the Boy Scout camp at the Citadel. But you know, for some reason I feel at home here, because being a New Englander, we think of everything happening at Lexington, Massachusetts. But you know, there is a Lexington, Kentucky, Lexington, Virginia, which is where the real action was. 3 Lexingtons, but this has been an inspiration for me to visit. Well, I'm not going to be nostalgic, but I want to share with you my experience and my feelings for being a black man in America. I'm not being politically correct, but believe it or not, in spite of the disadvantages, I'm proud to be what I am. But above all, I'm proud to be an American, which is what we all are. Now, for some reason, I seem to get more speaking engagements in February during Black History Month. Can someone tell me why? No, don't tell me. When I'm invited to speak, the first words I say is I want to disclaim my invitation here. I'm not here for Black History Month. I'm here for American History Month, which is what we all are. And I want you to talk about it. I want you to live it. And I'm going to give you some of my experiences. It's basically a story of my life. Now, we all have a period in our lives where there is something very important. For most of the cadets here, including the rats, the most important day for you will be graduation day, when you receive your commission. Some other important days, for some seniors, it will be the day you got married. For me, back in 1941, on a Sunday, was the moment, the greatest moment and challenge in my life. That was when President Roosevelt said December 7th was a day of infamy and we would go to war with Japan. It was a Sunday morning. We were going to church, which we've always been doing. Now, when my mother heard that war was declared, you know what she said to my brother and I? She said, "Boys, your country is at war. I want you to serve your country." Wait a minute. Can you imagine a black woman telling all she had in the world, 2 boys that she raised? When I grew up with pictures of people like me being lynched from a tree, when it was a festival or a picnic, boys, America is at war. I want you to serve your country. That's what we did. I went with my diploma, high school diploma in hand, went to Army recruiting. In Boston in that days, when you had your high school diploma in hand, no Game Boys, you had your high school diploma in hand, you went to two places. One was to Army recruiting, and the other one was to the Fargo building, where the candidates that wanted to go in the Navy or Marines, two places, diploma in hand. The doctor, or a man who represented to be a doctor in a white coat, I don't know what he was, but I mean, I've never had a physical exam in 5 minutes. We did a walk around, he looked at us, opened our mouths, and accepted. So this is the way it was in wartime. Now, what happened next? That's really momentous. And this is what I want to share with you. I'm not saying anything out of bitterness or recrimination against treatment accorded me. That hurt me. That didn't disturb or stop me from doing what I wanted to do. That didn't deter me from respecting, admiring, and honoring everyone that honored me. That's very simple. Diploma in hand, going with all of our friends, high school buddies, and I graduated from Boston English High School, the oldest public high school in America, 1821. We're having our bicentennial 200 years. Any English high people here? No, I guess not. But I'm saying that to let you know how involved I am with education. Education. And what are we here? What are we doing here? Why are officers sacrificing their careers when they could be making out all kinds of money? With having to hassle with lowly rats, with having to not worry about the mentoring program, without having to go through drills and ceremonies when they've done it 1,000 times before. They did it so each of you cadets will have training, will have discipline, will have the courage to stand up and be the best that you can be. Now, we were on the train, all of us, about 40 high school kids, 16 and 17, with our enlistment papers proudly in hand. We got on the train. I had $8 in my pocket. That was, a lot of money in those days. And we got on the train in Chicago, Boston to Chicago. No problem. Chicago to St. Louis. No problem. And when I say no problem, you know what I'm talking about. There was no problem for me. I was treated as any other passenger. Now, we got on the train, all of us, duffel bags, popcorn, didn't drink beer, but we all happy, laughing and joking, going to serve our country. We all envisaged ourselves to be heroes, and all of us would emerge with congressional medals of honor. This is what 17-year-old people think. And I'm sure some of you cadets have that in your minds. If you have it in your minds, keep it there. It just may happen. St. Louis, we were getting ready to pull out. All singing happy, popcorn, Coca-Cola, relax. So just as the train was to pull out, a conductor hollered, "Get off the train!" We looked around, gee, who's around the train? The compartment was filled with 17 and 18-year-olds, kids, 17 years old. That was the oldest. We had one guy in there, 15, he lied about his age. get off the train. We're looking around. We didn't know, I didn't know. But a conductor gently tapped me on my shoulder. That's an understatement. He didn't gently tap me on my shoulder. And if any of you are old enough to remember the character of Archie Bunker, there was Archie Bunker's brother, his twin brother there. Get off the train. And I had to get off the train. Had to get off the train. And what embarrassed me was my classmates, my high school buddies, looked out at the window. And maybe some of them were crying and sad. But the injustice to me had an effect, I believe, and I'm sure, on them. And maybe some of them that are still living remember seeing and having their buddy about to defend the country kicked off the train for one reason. You know what that reason is? So I'm off the train, $8 in my pocket. Train pulls out. So I'm standing there, forlorn. Train station embarrassed. Blacks could not go into the restroom, cafeteria. Stood there, lonely, with my duffel bag. Duffel bag. So about 15 minutes later, a black porter comes up and says, boy, where are you from? I said, you know, I'm from Boston. He said, have you ever been south before? I said, yeah, I've been to New York. He said, no, I don't mean that. He said, have you ever been south before? So he said and explained that black people don't ride this train. You'll have to wait for the train that you can ride on. When's that train coming through? 8 hours later. Wartime, 44, AWOL. I'm getting ahead of the story. So the train came along. I use the term loosely, train. It was a caboose, coal-fired, no vents in the windows, of course no AC in those days. Soot flying through the train, you know, it was a semi-closed compartment. And so the train stopped, I believe, at every intersection for like 300 miles. Okay. Summer. Khakis. Soot. Cold. No bathing. No washing. Nothing. I reported about 20 hours AWOL in wartime to our base. And of course, if there ever was an Archie Bunker, his cousin was our first sergeant. Now, in those days, for blacks, only whites could be non-commissioned officers. I did not see the first black non-commissioned officer when I consider PFC a corporal until I was about 8 months in the United States Army. Of course, no officers. I got to report in soot, dirt. Really, I couldn't tell you how I looked and how I felt coming in late. And of course, he told me in not too gentle terms that Private, you're a little late. He didn't say it like that. And you know, cadets know how you were chewed out. And you know what it is when you were chewed out, because you remain motionless speechless. The only words or answers you can get, yes sir, no excuse sir. Finish, that's it. So, was I discouraged? Did I say, well, you know, I gotta leave this outfit? No. I remember what my mother said. And I remembered why she said, boys, I want you to serve your country. Because it was her dream, like Martin Luther King, that by us sacrificing our lives, that might show proof of our patriotism. And having proof submitted, that would afford us full citizenship. Not partial action, not affirmative action. By the way, I have to stop myself and tell you this thing. People say, Woodhouse, where did you graduate from? Where did you get your undergraduate degree? I said, well, I got it from Yale, but I have to add, I received the BAA. Woodhouse, the degree is BA. I said, no, I got mine BAA, before affirmative action. I paid for it. I earned it. No scholarship, no affirmative action. That didn't stop me. And that shouldn't stop you. That should give you inspiration for what I've gone through. And you guys have it a little easier. But you know, you're at a place here. It's not going to be easy for you. That's not why they're here. They're here to toughen you. They're here to prepare you for one thing. Basically, leadership. Superior performance at all times. Now you say, oh, well, they're hard on me. Well, this is what we call tough love. Now, my brother went in the Marines, and he was a Montford Point Marines. Now, that was the segregated part of the United States Marine Corps. Can you imagine being assigned as a Marine on an installation? You couldn't get on it. They wouldn't let you on it. You were at Montford Point, which was the garbage disposal area, ammunition disposal area, rat-infested, garbage, and they had a few characters around there. They were not allowed on the base that they were to take basic training in the United States Marine Corps. Now we have some Marines, some Marine families here. Now you say, some of my friends are black, some of my friends are white. I happen to have a friend here who's a Marine, Mike Warbrick. His boy is here. I gotta jack him up later. Excellence, perseverance. Now I always have a theme wherever I go. One time it was the arc of justice. In other words, what goes around comes around. The only thing is you have to be patient and see it through. Now, what I prepared for BMI is a little different because you're different people. And Virginians are a little, you know, they're a little different. I'll let it go like that. My theme is going to be the tyranny of words. Tyranny of words. This cadet here taking notes. She's going to be a star. I see you. This is what I used to do. Whenever I would hear a speaker that was other than faculty, I would know to go there. Why? Because The staff and faculty here want you to get real life and real world experiences. You get the books, you get the syllabi, but whenever there's a speaker not connected with BMI and it's free and you can go, attend, take notes. I commend you for that. Now, when we saw what goes on, when I say we, I mean people of color, when we see what's going on, do we get discouraged? Some do, and some don't. How do you react? Well, some people picket. Some people protest. Some people confront. I prefer to go, as the Marines do, in a sniper mode and take the shot that I can make in good faith and honesty. I don't go behind the back and I don't go over anyone's head. You confront if confronting solves the problem, not solving the problem, nor assuaging your hurt feelings. We all get hurt. There are bumps in everybody's roads. And not everybody loves us. You know, it took me a long time to realize that not everybody in the world loves me. That was a big shock. I'm sure all of you felt like that. Everybody loves you. Well, two people love you, Mom and Dad. And maybe some of your faculty people here, but they won't tell you. They won't tell you. They won't let you know. They won't soften up on you because they want you to be ready to meet the outside world. And the outside world begins when you get your diploma and leave. You're leaving a cloistered, sheltered environment whose existence is here for only one reason: to prepare you. They want to prepare you so when you leave, you will be a credit to BMI. Now, I'm a historian buff. I love history. And I spent most of the afternoon when I was free at your museum. I spent time at your field of honor, or hall of honor. I looked at almost every medal collected, and Chesty Puller, I believe he was D5, and well, I tried to remember all of the great alums, distinguished graduates of VMI. I know you have been there, but I spent half an afternoon there. And it was inspiring to me, and I know that's inspiring to you. Now back to me, back to my situation. Two people stood out that gave me encouragement, that gave me inspiration, that gave me the will to succeed in any situation, positive or negative. That individual was Colonel B.O. Davis Jr., West Point class of 38. We all know he was subjected to the silent treatment. Silent treatment. No one spoke to him for 4 years. 4 years. He could not have a roommate. He could not join the study group. West Point serves meals on a buffet style. They would see that he gets served last on a plate, and then he had to gulp his food down in 5 minutes to meet the formation. This is what he went through. And I admire him for that, because what he taught me, what he inspired me with, is no matter what people do to you, that should not determine you or stop you from doing what you should do and what you are prepared to do. A comedian once said, there is no substitute for excellence. Everyone respects excellence. I was talking to the football coach this afternoon. Fantastic guy. Inspiring VMI for a fantastic season. But we talked about what he went through. How at one time, blacks would not be permitted to play on a football team. Can you imagine that? When you look at the football game today, Super Bowl and all this stuff, and I remember the time when blacks could not play football in the NFL. True story. I remember the time when people of color would not be a quarterback. That's changed. So where are we in America today? Simply, we're a work in progress. Utopia does not exist. Some of our founders wanted to create a utopia, which was good. Anything was better than being under royal control. The Kingdom of England, we wanted to be independent. The takeaway from that is that we as Americans, and I'm mixing things up to let you know that this whole thing is intertwined with all of us being Americans, all of us being the best we can be. And I'm trying to remember the inscription that I saw, I believe it was Stonewall Jackson, that said, you can be the best that you can be. That's the takeaway that I took. Now for Colonel Benjamin L. Davis, Jr., can you imagine being at a base or an installation where everybody looked like you? If you were Asian, there was nothing on the base but Asians. That's what we encountered. But you know what? People say, Woody, how did you feel about being in a segregated base? I said, I loved it, because I was with the finest group of Americans, men that had overperformed, the men that in raggedy airplanes were the first Top Gun team that created and inspired the movie for Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Those are facts. The Top Gun was our black fighter squadron at Nellis Air Force Base. And when they won the first prize in raggedy planes, they were given the trophy of around 3 feet high. And at the conclusion of the meet, the team takes that trophy back to his base. This was in '48. The trophy was lost. When our group, Albert Temple, Halbert, I know them all, 4 guys, Albert Temple, when they get back to Rockborn, Ohio, everyone was waiting for the trophy. Well, the Air Force couldn't find it. Well, they finally found it from '48. They just found it a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, the trophy was lost. But you know, that did not deter us, or me, from being excellent, from doing my best. And like our great idol, and all of us admire Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. I was fortunate to meet him. And his idea, what I took away from him, was even though he was great, he says, you know what else? I've been knocked down a few times. But you know what? When I'm knocked down, I get up and go again. Go again. Colonel Davis inspired all officers and men like myself. You have the opportunity here. Now, an interesting happened to me. Many interesting things happened to me, and they'll happen to you. But a lot of times we don't realize the significance of it until we leave, which is many years later. My thing was at Utah Hill Field. The best job I could get on the base, which was Squadron F. And Squadron F, in all installations, in all U.S. Army air bases, was Squadron F. Squadron A was for administration. Squadron B was for air mechanics, down to Squadron F, which was 100% black, whose sole mission was housekeeping. Housekeeping. You swept the streets, you mowed the grass, you refueled the aircraft, you drove in a motor pool, and you were able to be a waiter. Well, being a crafty person that I was, I opted out first to be a driver in the motor pool. What did that job mean? It means that you can be in your Class A uniforms. And can you imagine living week in, week out, month in, month out, in your fatigues? Now, fatigues weren't as functional and appealing, appearance-wise, as the camis today. It was a one-piece jumpsuit. That was the casual attire for military men, and particularly for people of color, where you didn't have to wear your Class A's, you didn't have to have inspection, you didn't go on parade, because you were the housekeepers. That was your mission. Every unit has a mission. That was our mission. But you know what? We did it. Now, as a driver in the motor pool, that was nice. I could sit in the motor pool office in my Class A, because I had to be presentable, when I drove the officer from the flight line down to the BOQ, and I could sit there and read magazines and do whatever I wanted to do. All right, I cut that out. And then I opted to get, see, one thing you can maneuver, if you have the smarts, in any position, as long as it's in the servile capacity. The next step up from motor pool was the officers' club. Had a nice white shirt, nice jacket, red jacket, and I was always able to have good steaks and bring them home to my buddies. That was a top job for a person of color, regardless of education. And we were at law. Okay? We were at law. This is how we were used. So I was cleaning up, and I always carried with me a copy of Dante. I'm a child of a linguist, French, German, a few other languages. And I had a copy of Dante's Inferno. Any English majors here? Okay, all right. Well, you know what I'm talking about, whoever you are. Dante was like Shakespeare, one of the three greatest authors in Western civilization. Dante, Shakespeare, Goethe. Those are the three top. So I was reading, I had this book on the rack. And so one of the officers, Lieutenant Herman B. Willis, was getting out his coat and held up this copy of Dante and said, "Whose book is this?" Well, I was reluctant to answer because you know how it is. If anything is missing and there's a person of color around, you know what happens. You know where they're going to look. Now, this is the fact. I'm not embellishing anything. This is what I call human nature in America. So I sheepishly said, "Sir, that's my copy." So he looked at me in astonishment. A black soldier reading Dante, not only in English, but in a parallel translation. Classical Italian or medieval Italian on the left, English on the right. So I fessed up to it. I said sheepishly, "Sir, that's my book." He says, "Is this your book? Do you read it?" Well, he just thumped through it and saw that it was my name, and I had made some red marks on the notation. So we said, "You know what?" He said, "I think you should go to OCS, Officer Candidate School." Can you imagine that? Do you know how that felt to me? Sweeping streets, cleaning garbage, filling coal receptacles, fueling aircraft. Can you imagine how that elevated me? How that took me from despair to hope? This is my message. America is great. There are many great people here. They may not show themselves. They may be hidden. But they are here. We are here. Now my theme, tyranny of words. You know, like Pavlov's dog. We all hear about the reactions of Pavlov's dog, how he would play a Russian biologist. He would play certain music or make certain sounds, and the dog would react. No matter what the stimulus was, he would react. Well, with what's going on in America today, I want to embellish the theme, tyranny of words. How one word mentioned causes a reaction. Now, the two words applicable to America is black and white. You know where I'm going. Black and white. And when you think of black, is it positive or negative? When you think of white, is it personal? Is it positive or negative? Tyranny of words. We don't want to be like Pavlov's dog. Now, example. The best food cake is angel food cake. What color is it? Okay, don't be embarrassed, my people. Don't be embarrassed. The color is white. Now, if it's devil's food cake, what color is it? Okay, don't answer. Now, when you libel some person, you just libel them. But when you want to say negative person, you say dash male, M-A-I-L, blackmail. You see? Now, when you hear words, when you see symbols, particularly in America, where our hierarchy of merit and nobility, unfortunately, seems to be based upon race. And when I say race, I mean not the Indian race, not the Asian race, but between black and white race. we have to discuss it. We have to be honest. We have to be Americans. We're all immigrants. All of us are immigrants, except my people. We came on passage over without charge, because some of us might have been a little cramped. But without going into details, friends, as Americans, we have to see just who we are. We have to find out just what direction we're going into. Without that, America will not be what it should be and what it wants to be. Now, I'm going to talk for a few more minutes, but the main part that I want to be here is I want to have discussion with you. And Justin will have microphones, and individuals may indulge in questions or answers. And this is very important for me. And let's be honest. Let's be frank. And I say we have to look at us as one country, the United States, United States of America. Now, I'm not talking about parties. We don't talk about politics. We talk about the red, white, and blue. We talk about George Washington. We talk about the generals that have led us to victory in our conflicts. And one thing I enjoyed here was seeing the monuments in the Hall of Honor, the Medal of Honor recipients and all of the medals that all VMI people have received. Now, in conclusion, I'm going to do something very radical. I'm going to give you a statement that you might feel uncomfortable with. Now, the statement is not going to be a condemnation of racial injustice or sexual abuse. A lot of the inequities we see and experience and observe in our newspapers, on television, and in our daily lives. I'm going to make a radical statement, which is radical, but it's very simple and effective. Now, as an example, any mathematics majors here? Anyone taking mathematics? Wait a minute, there's more than one person in mathematics here. You have to do something, come on. Okay, all right, mathematics. Everybody has studied mathematics. 1 and 1 is 2, okay? Whenever I speak, simple things can be complex, and complex things can be simple. Example, Fermat's last theorem, Pierre de Fermat's last theorem, 17th century French mathematician / philosopher. His equation was like this. It's very, very simple, almost like 1 and 1 is 2. It's a to the n plus b to the n equals c to the n. How simple. 1 and 1 is 2. A to the n power plus b to the n power is c to the n power. Very simple. And Pierre de Fermat, in French intellectual so-called superiority, he wrote on the margins in Latin, the solution to this problem is so simple, I will not bother to give it. It took us close to 300 years to solve it. The solution to that took close to 300 pages, and it was only uncovered and solved by a mathematician from Princeton at their advanced studies. When you go into an embassy, which I was a diplomatic career and you saw a lot of things, and when you go into a library or something, you could see books. And when you have books, you have knowledge. I've seen the library here. That should be your second home. Classroom, gym, library. You have a wonderful library. Woody, why are you talking about the library? Are you pushing the library here? No. But every time I've gone to a library, I've seen something that I wasn't looking for. I learned something that I didn't know. If I was looking up zygotes, Z-Y-G-O-T-E-S, the word before it, I might be attracted to, and consequently look up the definition and put that in my book. So simple things can be complex, and complex things can be very simple. And being a lawyer, you've been to a law office, you see all these big law books around, U.S. Supreme Court, Kentucky, Virginia, appeals court. You see the place flooded with books. But you know what? All of those books can be distilled into the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house or wife, nor anything within his gates. Very simple. You have an honor code. That's very simple. Can you imagine if you follow the honor code? How easy your life would be, not from an easiness or facile way of living, but how dilemmas can be solved immediately, forthrightly, and without recrimination. Now, you know, I must close because I want to hear from you, and you can comment without fear of recrimination. The general will protect you. Maybe. You know, we were going through a tour, and I have to say this. I happened to spend an hour looking through all of the yearbooks at VMI, the yearbooks at the museum at VMI in the basement. I came across one rack from the class of 1985. General, good evening, sir. But looking through all of those histories and bios, I see one thing they had in common. They were honest. They were devoted. They were patriotic. And the main thing is they all were hard workers. I have to close with this thing that I always say in any closing. This always reminds me of the motto on one of the first class rings, and I spend time looking at the class ring. Let me see all the class rings here. Don't you have any class rings up there? Okay, thank you. You know, the thing that struck me was the first class ring was the word mizpah, M-I-Z-P-A-H, mizpah. Now that is an old Hebrew expression when people are going to leave the present. And the King James Version goes like this, mizpah. May the God watch between me and thee while we are absent, one from another. That was the inscription on your first ring. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent, one from the other. Closing. You can pray, you can talk about me, excuse me. I always get emotional when I say this. And this is a challenge, accusatory, and I'm going to point my finger at you. You can talk about me all you please, but I'll talk about you on my knees. Thank you. We have a little tradition around that I have brought with me at great expense and additional insurance with Lloyd's of London, the exact bronze Congressional Gold Medal that was presented to me in my hands personally by President George Bush. And the reason it was presented to me personally was that being a fellow alum of Yale, as George Bush was, I angled to shake his hand, and he put this medal in my hands personally, and I was honored. So I'll circulate this around because I want you to share this among yourselves. And you see the front? Just the front. Yeah. You know, when you receive something from the President of the United States, you cherish that and share it whenever possible. I keep it in a safe place in my house, but you know, when I go out, I have to share it. I have to show it. You cadets, people, parents, staff, officers, this is from the President of the United States. And here I received this in hand from the President. So, you know, when you receive an honor, it's not just for you to receive it. It's only worthwhile when it's shared. So I know everyone is on the honor code here. Is there a senior captain here from the Cadet Corps? Don't be embarrassed. There has to be a top person here, and not a rat.
I'm a cadet captain, sir.
All right, step forward. It's always yourself. That's leadership.
Can we come up, or?
Yeah, you come up. Come over.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
You know, this is a future leader. I'm doing talking now because the general told me whenever you're meeting the cadet, check them out. I want you to look around here and see all of the people here, and to see your cadets here. And I want all of you cadets to look at your leader, to look at the senior cadet here. And this is leadership. Now, when I say to you, I wish you Godspeed, and I'm sure you, among others, anyone, could be the chief of staff. There's one person out here that's going to succeed General Wins, maybe in a few decades, but it will happen. And he's training you. And we're all here to support you. Thank you very much. Any questions, please? I think Justin has 2 lines.
Yes, so there are microphones on either side of the stage. If you have a question for Lieutenant Colonel Woodhouse, please line up on either side and he'll answer your question. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with my right. Right? Are you by the microphone?
No, she is. You're out there.
Okay.
Closer to the stage.
Okay.
Good evening, sir, and thank you so much, Colonel, for coming. I'm very proud to say that I'm actually a daughter of one of the participants of the original Tuskegee Airman, and I've always been very proud of that. And as a pediatric physician here in Montgomery County, we're dealing with adolescents, all colors, males and females, who had to go through the pandemic, COVID pandemic. What would you say to them to try to boost their morale and spirit now, thinking back on the things that you had to go through to help you?
Thank you. That's a good question. What they can do in adversity, penniless, on the verge of being evicted, mothers without fathers, mothers penniless. What they can do, besides praying, is to stay focused and to entertain and to engage in some of the networks that you have. I know you have networks. They may be esoteric, hidden, but no matter what, or how obscure the organization is to them, I'm sure you can put them on the right track. Because you have also a job too, not only to treat, but to advise. Get a list of agencies within your county or city or district. You get the list. They have to give them to you. They'll give them to you. So you get them and have around 20 copies made, copied. And when people come in and ask the very question that you did, hand them this and give it to them. And when you give it to them, follow up, or have your assistant follow up. You're an MD. You're not a clerical person. Let them do it. You're a physician. Heal.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Are we going from one side? Okay. Please state your name. You can take your mask off.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm vaccinated, but just to be sure.
Okay.
My name is Graham, and first of all, thank you for your service and for coming here and sharing your wisdom here in Lexington. And my friend Marshall had a question. What did you do back during your service to kill time, or in your spare time?
Well, every cadet will tell you, there's no such thing as spare time. It doesn't exist. You have duties. Reveille was at 0700. reveille, you had, at that time you had the bugle, you jumped up, you had breakfast, and you reported at your job at 0800. You had your lunch from 12 to 1, and then you went back to work till 5 or 6, and refueling aircraft, sweeping streets. You didn't have time for television because there was none. You just went back. I hope that answered the question. You know, people, when I'm answering questions, it's not funny. I'm not trying to make a joke or to amuse you. I'm not here to amuse you. Get a comedian. I'm not a comedian. Thank you very much. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much, sir. It does.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, sir. I just, not so much a question, but a statement. Thank you for coming out here tonight. It is an honor to have you here with us tonight to be a speaker. One thing that I've heard a lot in my rap line is that without church suffering, there can be no brotherhood. And just seeing you up here today, you telling your story of all that you've been through, I can see that that story has been true, not just here at BMI, but through your story as well. So thank you, sir.
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you. Oh, you can state your name.
Nathan, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. I'm Ellis. It's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your wisdom. And my question is what would you say is the biggest difference between, back in the 40s, your generation, and modern day, and an appendage to that? What's the most important lesson we can learn and bring back to barracks and bring back throughout our lives?
Like I said, this may sound simple, but just do the right thing. We have the 10 Commandments. That's all you have to do. Love thy neighbor as thyself. That's one of the 10 Commandments. I was talking about simple things being complex. And many complex things are simple. Do the right thing. Treat your neighbor as you would want to be treated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. My name is Cadet Julian Major. My question to you is what sort of things, as a aspiring Air Force pilot, what are some of the things that you saw among the men around you that you saw that drove them to be who they were as pilots?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's complex, but it's very simple. Our pilots were trained to be pilots. They had to excel, to be recognized, and to be treated equally. They worked hard. They worked their you-know-what off. There is no substitute for excellence. And when you're excellent, everyone will respect you. They won't love you, but they'll have to give you your due.
Yes, sir.
Does that satisfy you?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you make it. Hope you get your wings.
Thank you so much, sir.
You'll do it. BMI, you gotta do it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. My name is Cadet Birdsong. I'd like to thank you for coming. Thank you for your service. As you mentioned earlier, many of us are aspiring leaders, especially in the U.S. Armed Forces. What advice or what qualities would you wish to see in future leaders of the U.S. military and the civilian sector that some of our fellow cadets are going to be going into shortly?
I hate to be repetitious, but everyone just do the right thing. There's no special wand. There's no special book. There's no special training that you have to treat your superiors, your subordinates, and your co-workers equally and fairly.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It sounds bombastic and direct, but you know, that's what truth is. There is no Santa Claus. There is no tooth fairy. There is no bunny rabbit. But you know, the funny thing is, no one has ever told a kid there's no Santa Claus. We don't have the heart to do it. So, do the right thing.
Yes, sir, thank you.
That's true. Follow it through. Do the right thing.
Good evening, sir.
Okay.
My name is Cadet Jason Lerner. It's an honor to be talking to you tonight. My question is, with the words that your mother gave you about serving your country, especially with the time when you were serving at Squadron F, doing a lot of what some would call busy work, not necessarily something you'd imagine serving on the front lines, was there ever a time when you felt discouraged by this? And if there was, how did you push through that?
I got discouraged then, and I get discouraged now. But that doesn't deter my mission, my personal mission. That didn't deter me from coming here. That doesn't deter me from doing what is right. Doing right. I know it sounds trite, but that's what life should be. That's what makes America great with potential. We have too many people cutting corners, making a fast buck, not treating each other fairly so they can gain. Back to the Ten Commandments, guys. That's what I live by. And it's simple. It's helped me. It helped me get to be 95.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Imani Williams. First off, it's an honor just to be seeing you today. We came all the way over here from Stanton, Virginia, just to come see you today. I'd say my question, society-wise, how is the time different now from when you were in the military?
Well, the times may appear to be different, but they are basically the same with incremental changes. You know, when you divide a number, you take a half from a half. You take a half from the half of the half. You see where I'm getting? You see, you approach zero, which is utopia, but you never get there. You get there incrementally. Will we reach zero? Will we reach utopia? No, it can't happen because we're all human. We can do the right thing. I hate to be repetitious, but you see what I'm saying, guys? When you do the right thing, I know it's hard. When you say the right thing, when you are ethical, that's why you have the honor code. That was not instituted just to have you recite and memorize, to see if you can memorize. This is what you live by. This is what I live by. And I hope this is what you live by. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question, please.
Yes.
Okay.
One more question.
Over here. It's Mike, your best friend. What's your favorite passage from Dante's Inferno?
My favorite passage is from Inferno. And this is the book that put me where I am. The book is from the Inferno, and I will recite it to you in Italian, classical Italian. Non ragionam di loro, ma guarda e passa. Repeat. Non ragionam di loro, ma guarda e passa. Translation. Let's not haggle over little things, but let us look and pass on. Don't sweat the small stuff. Do the big stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Woodhouse, on behalf of VMI, I'd like to present Dr. Tennyson, and we have a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you for speaking to us and sharing experiences from your rich life, sir. You are an inspiration to us all, particularly at this time as we move forward at VMI with an inclusive excellence, our One Core One VMI plan, and toward a nation in which all people are treated equitably and with dignity. On behalf of the Institute, General Williams and Dr. Love, please accept.